Hey, beautiful soul, and welcome back to The Voice Within. Today, we're going to talk about fairness. This understanding about fairness that I'm going to share with you today, it changed completely how I do my motherhood. It completely changed how I basically feel and move inside of my life. When we talk about fairness, what does it makes us think about? It's about you have your turn, I have my turn. You have your decision, I have my decision. It's like equality in life. However, we all know that life often is not fair, and we all know that a lot of things in life don't function in that way. There is so many things in our life which we basically have to accept because they are just the way they are, and there is a lot of situations in our life where basically fairness is required. And the fairness itself, it's not bad, but we have to name basically where the fairness is allowed, around which parts we can be fair and which parts are simply in some way not fair. Because when we allow things to be fair where they shouldn't be fair, we allow negotiations. So basically, if I can argue fairness, then I can negotiate power. This obstacle I faced the most in my motherhood, where as my son is growing, I was often put in position where he would negotiate rules, he would negotiate the things with me, until I realized that in motherhood particularly, there is no way for all of the things to be fair. Fairness can be used in the places like how many pieces of chocolate we're gonna split between the family members, or how long we're gonna do something like a family, the things which are kind of not challenging our authority like a mother's. But if we allow fairness inside of every area of our motherhood, then what happens is role becomes blurred. And when the roles are blurred, the children, they start negotiating power, they start pushing the boundaries even more. Then we feel like our authority inside of our motherhood is not basically clear. And then when our authority is not accepted, we get overheated, we raise our voice. Why? Because we are trying to reset the power. We are trying to claim authority through dominance, through volume. And then after that, of course, like mothers, we feel guilty, we feel bad about ourselves because we lost our cool, our posture, and then we try different way next time. And I was in that space for a long time. I couldn't understand what is actually happening, why my child is not clear on the roles, why my child sometimes is pushing the boundaries, pushing the rules, while it's supposed to be clear that I am the mother and I'm the one who decides. Until I basically realized all of this story we're going to have today about fairness, that basically the roles don't become blur because children blur them. It's basically we, like authority in motherhood, we blur them because we allow negotiation, or we trying to make things to be fair. Children pushing boundaries is completely normal, appropriate, and this is something that all the children are doing. This is how they learn about the world around them. But we, like mothers, are the one who's supposed to set the frame when the boundaries are pushed. We're supposed to be authority in that situation and accept that in a lot of things, especially in parenting, fairness cannot be present, that fairness is something which can be used in the places where the power is not challenged. But as soon as we allow fairness to slip into all areas of our motherhood, then we feel like we are not leading our children, but we are kind of negotiating power with our children. And then when I was observing this principle of fairness, I realized that there was a lot of places in my life where the same thing was happening, where I was not clear in my own head where does my power and authority sits, what is for negotiation, what is not for negotiation, where the fairness should be applied and where the life is simply not fair. Becoming clear on my authority and where are the places where is my authority, it really helped me a lot to become more precise and more direct in the way I'm moving in my life. And immediately, when you are precise, when you are clear on your area of authority, there is no negotiation, and basically the mental load goes down. Fairness language usually sounds like is this fair? Is this okay? What do you think? Can we agree on this? If you take a look at these examples, it sounds like we are calling for mutuality. We are trying to make decisions together. However, there is a lot of places in our life where things cannot be decided mutually, where things have to take in consideration both of the parties involved in decision. This kind of sentences or similar, they sound very mature, but underneath each of one of these sentences is this: I don't feel secure holding authority, so I will argue fairness. And I was thinking a lot, where does this coming from? Why we are negotiating our power? I was observing women and I saw that a lot of women are doing exactly the same thing. And I think it's coming from the place where we still kind of don't realize that we moved from girl to woman long time ago, that we are sitting now in that adulthood position where we are authority of our own life, that we don't need permission to have needs, we don't need permission to make decisions, we don't need permission to move in our life the way it fits and it makes sense for us. And because we didn't reach the point of that internal authority, I am authority of my own life, then we allow fairness to slip in and a lot of negotiations to happen. And again, same as in motherhood, when negotiation happens, we feel that we are not leading in our life, that our decisions, our needs are not allowed. Confusion happens when we treat every role we have in our life with people like every space requires negotiation to be accepted. So then, what are the areas where we basically hold authority? So let's start with adult to adult relationship. In adult to adult relationship, both of the people are adults and both of the people are holding authority over their own life. If we communicate with adult people in a way, should we do this, or what about, or what do you think, we are basically negotiating fairness, and negotiating fairness calls for more negotiations. So moving from what do you think or what should we do, or in order for this need of mine to be accepted, you have to agree with it. Once we move from that place into the place of this is my position, this is what I allow, this is what I expect, this is what I need, and then how about you? We are basically starting to interact with the people like adults. As long as we communicating with adult people in some form of fear or discomfort of if I claim this, if I say this is my position, then maybe people will misunderstand me and reject me. We are basically reactive based on the people approval. But if we want to move in the place where we are authority of our own life, then we have to start interacting with the people like adult to adult. Adults, they don't negotiate fairness. Adults say, this is my position, this is what I accept, this is my boundary, this is my edge, where is yours? And can we meet each other in the middle? The second area where we hold authority is basically motherhood. And I truly believe that a lot of millennials, moms, we got huge confusion in this area because of a lot of mainstream teaching about gentle parenting and so on. We kind of realize that things cannot be all the time gentle, and sometimes we have to hold the grip and we have to hold the authority in order for our children to learn the things we're trying to teach them. There is no democracy with the children when it comes about the things that mother is responsible for. Whenever we allow our children to negotiate the things which are around their safety, I don't know, eating habits, sleeping habits, and so on, how much TV they are watching and what they are doing day to day, we basically lose our power. Now we signaling to our children, okay, we are fair here, we are equal here, so we get to decide both. And this is where frustration in motherhood often happens. How I did it in my motherhood, I basically set the clear rules. Where is my authority? What do I decide? And there is no negotiations around it. The things we can negotiate is, like I said, pieces of chocolate or which park we're gonna choose today, the small decisions. But when it comes about decisions which involve safety and well-being of my child, I am only authority with my husband who decides about these things. And then the last area, which is basically sitting on top of all of authority areas, is authority over yourself and your own life, starting from things how you run your home, how you spend your time, what are your needs, what do you tolerate and what do you don't tolerate. So claiming the power and allowing yourself to take the space and to publicly say it, this is what I accepted, this is what is okay for me, this is what I tolerate, I don't tolerate, accept this and this. If we're communicating with another adult person, what is your position and how can we make this work? Do you notice the difference? Instead of, if you agree with my needs, then I am allowed to have my needs, to I have my needs, you have your needs, so can we be flexible and meet in the middle? Whenever you argue fairness in the places where you already by life hold authority, you basically are weakening your position. And then why do we do this? Basically, we do this because we don't want to be seen like controlling, aggressive. We want to be liked, agreeable. It's a blueprint from our childhood. The girls are nice, the girls are soft, the girls agree with everything. And that same blueprint is basically coming in our adulthood. And then we often feel like the people are disrespecting us when actually we are giving our power by negotiating fairness. I think as well we often kind of confuse what does it mean equality. Equality is not same like roles. Equality is we are all humans the same. That fact is taken in consideration in the way we make our decision. So we are taking full consideration of another person's emotional world, inner world. However, in roles, we are clear who decides where. So if we take adult to adult relationship, adult person cannot decide the things in our name. We are leaders of our own life. We have to decide for ourselves and coordinate with another adult person if that decision is affecting them in some way. But when it comes about role where we are full authority, full leaders like motherhood, we cannot mix those roles and negotiate power. And often confusion happens where we associate authority with being loud, being dominant, being angry. But when we reach this point to dominate, to have volume, to be angry, we basically already gave our power away. Authority or leadership in our life is basically clarity, precision without apology. When we take the space in our life without apologizing, when we state our position without expecting anybody to like it or to agree with it, when we become so clear on what works for us, what we tolerate and don't tolerate, the people around us, they start respecting our authority. When we become clear on our lane and our roles in life, we stop arguing fairness, we decide. So basically authority would be setting expectations, holding standard, managing people, because woman in the house is basically manager. And then the part which we often don't like, making decisions even when people don't like those decisions. And then on the end, not arguing our right to lead. And this position often on the beginning feels very uncomfortable, feels like, oh my God, if I do this, if I state my needs, if I say this is what I accept and don't accept with a calm voice, the people will reject us. And in my experience, actually people start really respecting our position, our stance, and they start to finding the way to be flexible. Leading and having authority doesn't mean we don't take in consideration other people, but it means as well we don't bend completely for other people. So you have your needs, you have your opinion, you have what do you tolerate, and I have what I accept, don't accept, or tolerate. As soon as we give up on what is important to us to be fair and to be likable in adult to adult relationship, we basically signaling that we are not leaders of our own life. And when that happens, then everything becomes very loose and the people start pushing and negotiating our power. So for the end of this episode, try to take a look at your life and see where you are negotiating fairness, where you are giving your power back, and how actually you can move in the position of self-led woman, which says, this is my position, this is what I accept, don't accept, tolerate, don't tolerate, and how do we move from that place where we take in consideration all the people involved. So take a look at your life and try to see, where do I need to claim power back? Where do I need to change the way my posture is, the way I communicate my power, and the way I deal with the people? And that's all for today. I hope you found something valuable today. And until the next week, I wish you a beautiful rest of the day. Bye.